Alright, here's the instrument panel, and this is actually a really clean example of an instrument panel from one of these trucks. The wiring harness on it, it appears to have never ever been messed with at all. I mean, it's super clean. All the original connectors are here for all the instruments. Voltage regulator has everything. It's just super clean. And even on this side, it's not terrible at all. So what we're going to do is we're going to throw some new bulbs in here. These are the turn signal bulbs. Here, these ones appear to have been replaced at some point in time because they got the larger bulb on them. So actually, I'm going to go ahead and pull them all out so I don't lose track of what hasn't been replaced. Another turn signal. This one right here. This might have been replaced as well at some point in time. These two up here are your constant instrument panel lights. They stay on, and they're dimmable. As far as I know, they're dimmable. And the one right here in the middle, this is for your high beam indicator. And that bulb is actually broken. See? Alright, get these new bulbs in here. It's like this. That's why it's so tough to film where I live. So I turn the camera on, cars start driving by, airplanes start going over. Hopefully these all work. Okay, now let's flip it over. I'll show you the next part. For the turn signals, there's these little boxes here that fit over. That way when the turn signal is flashing, it's only illuminating the part in the instrument panel that's for the turn signal. Let me set this aside. And here's the front of the instrument panel. Okay, turn signal indicators are right here, and on the back of them there's this little foam thing that these little boxes kind of go up against like that, and the plastic, the green plastic in there, has got a little bit of ultraviolet damage, and you can see the outline of the arrow. That shouldn't be there. This one looks like it's been adjusted a couple times, and this one as well has got the same issue. So I couldn't find these little pieces of plastic, green plastic, anywhere online, and I got tired of looking, so I came up with a solution that'll work for pretty much anybody. So I went and got these note markers. They're plastic and they're sticky sided on half of it, and they conveniently have a green color. I guess you could, if you wanted to, you can make your turn signal indicators orange or pink, or what's this one, neon green. I'm just going to go with a regular green. So what we got here So you can see part of it's got glue on it, so you can stick it to a piece of paper. Well, you don't want the sticky side pointing out, because then it's going to get dust on it, so you want it to come up. And I kind of also want to solve the problem that these things don't really want to stick on here very well anymore. They do kind of. So what I'm going to do here is, where's my scissors? I'm going to cut off, basically going to cut them about in half. Okay, and I'm going to save the part that's got the glue on it. Alright. What I do is I'm going to take these and I'm going to put them sticky side to sticky side and just make an X. Oh, wind's blowing. Just make an X. And I'm going to put that doubled up portion right over this turn signal indicator. And one side here will stick to the panel. And the other side's got sticky coming up. And that side will hold this in place. At least long enough for me to get it all squished together. So now you can see it's nice and green on that side. Get a couple more here and do the same thing over here. So I'm going to trim the excess off here. Don't get caught up on anything. There we go. That should work pretty good. Now I should be able to get everything mounted up to this and then just slide the whole thing in. This is like the main trim, right? But I'm not going to, because I gotta still hook up that speedometer cable, and with that big piece of trim in the way, it's a mess. So I'm gonna put in the instrument panel and then the rest first. But here inside this box is the replacement glass for the front. Here's the old one. You can see the difference, the oxidization from the sun. So nice and clear. I'm going to go find my old school label maker. I'm going to copy that and put it on the new one, and get around to putting this thing in the truck. Alright, so the mileage on the truck when the engine was switched was 48,404. So I got 4 lined up there. Go find the 8, 4, 0, 4. Close enough. It'll work. Yeah, I'm gonna put that on. I'm gonna put this label on after I get everything installed in the truck, which I'm gonna go prep to do right now. All right, I've been fooling around on the dash for a while here. So one of the first things I did was identified these 2 wires. These two wires are for this little light right here. This is your brake warning light. It's not for your parking brake. Okay, it's confused. What that is these two wires, they go down to a little module that's on the brake lines that can sense the little piston if your back brakes fail or your front brakes fail. Well, they're really hard to calibrate, and if they're not calibrated quite correctly, this light will stay on, and people get annoyed with that, so they cut the wires, which is what somebody else did. And right now I'm just going to leave them cut because I don't feel like messing with the brakes right now. Then I got my radio harness figured out here. It's not totally complete yet. I got to redo some of the connections, but I got let's see, where's the wire? So this wire right here is for the cigarette lighter. This is a constant 12-volt source, and cigarette lighter's right here. Oh, by the way, I'll show you. The little light on it works, and it even dims. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Anyway, I'm never going to use that for that purpose. This is going to be where I charge my phone, and I want it to be a switched 12-volt source. So the radio needs a switched 12-volt source and a constant. So my constant 12-volt source for the radio goes to what used to be the cigarette lighter, and then this other wire here that is a switched 12-volt source that was for the radio before now has the radio switched wire and also the power wire for the cigarette lighter right here. So now all that stuff turns off when I turn the key off. Let's see. Okay, so I am working on the dome light. It's right here. The dome light does work if I just hook it up to the battery directly, but I have a horrible ground situation and I can't get it to turn on up here, even though I got 12 volts to the source. So I've been working on cleaning up where the housing connects to the cab, and it still doesn't work. And I just checked to see if the ground on the fuel tank, the fuel sending unit, is a good ground, and it is. And then I continuity checked between that ground and this ground up here, and I got continuity. So I think I just need to clean my screws up really good and clean up these connections up here really good. But I'm working on that right now. But it's getting dark. Mosquitoes are starting to get after my ankles really bad, so I'm going in to take a look at the radio, and the radio does work, but it's got a few issues, and it namely has a lot to do with all this dust in here from Arizona. So I got to take the radio apart and clean it out. So off we go to the workbench. All right, let's see how dirty the inside of this radio is. Doesn't look too bad. The volume control over here is what was making a bunch of static and didn't want to really do anything. So and that's probably about the best I'm going to do, and if that doesn't work, I'm just going to go get another radio. So, throw it back together and go test it out. Alright, so this radio antenna has seen better days, so we're going to go ahead and replace that. We got to start on the inside though. Alright, so these are really hard to get to from the underside. You gotta... Okay, why is my light flashing? Okay, if you look back here, focused here, right up there, see that rubber grommet? That's the antenna cable going through there. So we're going to pull it out, but we're going to tie a string to it so we can pull the new cable through. So got some string here, some paracord. Here's the old antenna. This is it's got a 90-degree thing on it. It's not going to go through there very good, so I'm just going to cut it off. Take some electrical tape here, and we're just going to tape this paracord onto here. Alright, that should be good enough. Now we'll run around the outside and disassemble. The way this front part of the cab is set up, you can't access this really any other way. So we just start pulling the cable through that grommet. Well, that grommet is as hard as a rock, so I will be getting a new one of those, but I can't even get it out the other hole, so I gotta get a pair of snips and cut it off. It's supposed to be rubber, but it's like brittle plastic. And we got the string through. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get this radio reinstalled. Not much place to put the camera except like right here in my way, but it's got to go in through the glove box here backwards to get it right. And pull the wiring through. This is the remote wire. This heads over to the light switch. So we'll get that halfway routed, or at least go in that direction. Then here's the wiring harness plug. One on the back of the radio needs to plug into that. So this radio, it's on its last legs. I'm guessing it's from the late 90s, maybe from the early 2000s. I don't think so though. It does have a 1/8 inch plug for hooking up a CD player, so it's somewhere in that range. But we gotta get it back around here somehow. Get these things through just like that. Let's make sure my wire's not tangled up here, my remote wire. Okay, we're good on that. I'm going to replace this radio sometime in the future. I don't want one of those modern ones that looks like an old one. That, and they're just expensive. They're like $500. So I'm hoping to hit up a junkyard here soon and find something in decent shape that fits in here and mounts up the same way. I don't want to cut these tabs off and put in one of those DIN setups. But I got my little baggie of all my hardware here. So first thing on is a washer. I think. Let's see how many washers I got. I got these two type of lock washers, and I have two of the smooth washers. These don't seem to be the right thing. I'm going to save the smooth washers for the last set of nuts that go on the faceplate. So I'll put these on here. That's probably where they came from anyway. They're close enough to the right size, I guess. So I've got, how many nuts left? I got 4 nuts left. Don't think I need all 4, but they were on here. Too. No cross threading, come on, get on there. Alright, flip you around, let's try it that way. There we go. I haven't even tried the tape deck out yet. I have tape somewhere. I just don't know where. It'd be kind of cool if it works. I'm not worried about it. I just usually just turn the radio on and just listen to the radio. Okay, that appears to be on there. So, what are all the pieces I got left here? I got a clip here, I don't know what it's for. I'm not putting the speaker in. The speaker bracket goes into the screw, which I should probably, I didn't have a Phillips with me, but get that tightened in there so that I don't lose it. But the dash speakers are going to be a completely different project because it's not going to fit in there the normal way. So let's see. We've got 4 more nuts, 2 washers. I think maybe I know why. We'll find out. But I do need a Phillips screwdriver, so I'm gonna go grab that real quick. All right, so I do believe the next thing that needs to go in is the original bezel. And yeah, I remember now. I gotta put a nut on those. But there's also these 2 Phillips head screws that go right up in here. Sure glad I kept everything in these Ziploc baggies. I'd have lost everything by now. Oh. Now I remember where this clip went. Let's take this off real quick. Let's see. That I think. Let's see. I think that's in the right spot. I'll give that a whirl and see what happens. And now it feels like I'm screwing into something that's supposed to be there. Okay. Put this one back in. Make sure they're nice and snug. It's an old truck. I'm sure it vibrates a little bit. And then put another nut on here. That one spun on quite nicely. attachment. Okay, all I got left is the bits and pieces for the aftermarket faceplate and the two knobs that are left. So I got these little deals here. These just slot in. That one might be backwards. Made to go in there two different ways. Let's see. Okay, so I need the hole toward the outside, like that, and like that. Washer. These ones, I remember, don't get them too tight because I'm going to end up crushing the plastic. Yeah, so I'm gonna go try to find another one of these radios in better condition in a junkyard. Try to get one somewhat the same vintage. And while I'm there, I'm gonna find an AC compressor and a condenser with a built-in dehydrator for the air conditioner. That way I'm pretty much set up for a winter project later this year to get the AC working and reinstalled. Got the heater working, so that's cool. Alright, so what side do I really need? This is tuner and fader. Don't really need a tuner, I only leave it on one station anyway. This is my on-off and the bass treble. I'll just put them all over here. Hopefully that junkyard I go to, I can score something that has all the knobs, not just half of them. Okay. Alright, we're going to swing over and hook up the remote wire right here to the dimmer, and we'll test it out. Alright. I don't know how well the lighting is, but this is the wire that's for the dimmer, for all the instrument panel and everything. Here's the remote wire from the radio. And I'm going to use one of these connectors here that I'm not really a big fan of, but they do, I guess they work. So, hard part is getting a wire you can't slide in from the end on, so we'll do that first. And we'll just get it into the first slot, just like that. Then we'll take our remote wire, slide it into the other slot there. Just like that. And all you gotta do is take a pair of pliers here and crush this piece of metal across both wires so they make contact. And to lock it, you just take and fold this piece of plastic over Well, it's not really a lock, it's more like an insulator for that piece of metal. But, all right, that's hooked up. Let's try the radio out. All right, let's turn the key on, and then turn the radio on. I forgot something very important, actually, which is, oh, actually two things. Antenna needs to get hooked up. It's right here. I ran a new antenna, so I'm not even gonna try to get you guys back behind here to see what I'm doing there. It's gonna be a little awkward. I'll plug it in here. Then I gotta open the hood and hook the battery up. I've been disconnecting the battery every day for a while now until I'm certain that I've gotten rid of any parasitic electricity leaks. I think I've got them. I'm just not going to leave it hooked up until I'm certain. Okay. I'm going to go hook the battery up. Alright, take two. Key on. Radio on. So, let's find a channel that's not playing music. There we go.
Promo code promo25 to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands.
Perfect. I'm giving somebody free advertising. I hope they like it.
25 cents per
But
gallon.
everything works.
First tank. That's code promo25.
A little bit of static when you're adjusting the volume, but that's fine. And I should be able to adjust with the dimmer. Oh, I gotta have the lights on. Does that get brighter? That should be dim. Too many reflections in here. Can't really tell, it's not dark enough. But there should be lights behind all these numbers on the buttons and stuff. Okay, we're good. Now we need to fill this hole in with an instrument panel. And we're gonna do it right now. All right, before I can put the instrument panel in, I gotta put the defroster hoses in. I made a small repair on here with some loosely wrapped electrical tape. There's a little bit of a tear in here. Otherwise, these things are in okay shape. Pretty decent, actually. I'm not complaining. But I got to sneak it up under here and try to show you how I do it. It's got to sneak back through all this stuff back underneath the dash. So there's this little groove right here that it just snaps into place around this hole right here. So I've got to get it up through here in such a way to where the bottom end of it here ends up down there at the heater. Okay, that's not too bad. Now the little louvers here, I still gotta wire wheel them and paint them. But today, I want to get this whole thing in here so when it gets dark tonight, I can turn the lights on and make sure everything inside of here works. So let's look at the mess we got going on over here. So here's the two plugs for plugging in the instrument panel, and here's the speedometer cable. So this whole thing is designed so that you're supposed to be able to have the entire instrument panel mounted here and then slide it in there. But with this extension on here, this long part here, it's hard to reach back there and hook up the speedometer cable. So I'm going to do it one piece at a time and hopefully get all the screws lined up the right way. Here's our instrument panel with all the brand new bulbs in it. And the first thing we're going to hook up is that speedometer cable. And I highly doubt you guys are going to be able to see it, and there's no room to get the camera back there. So, and I have to do it pretty much by feel anyway. I have to reach from the other side over here. That's pretty tight back there. Yep, hard to get my hand out. Reach back there with a 3/4 inch wrench and just give it a little bit of an extra turn. I can see what I'm doing. Just to make sure she's not going to vibrate off. Just a little bit. Okay, so bring her back over here, and I've got two plugs here I got to plug in. I got this small wire, which, what was that? I did identify what it's for. I'll think of it. And then you got the main plug right here. And this is old plastic, so you got to be careful with it so you don't break anything. Am I putting it onto the right direction? Yep. Everything to snap in there. A little bit more. Here we go. Okay, so what we gotta do is we gotta get this thing in here. Need to move the flasher so it's not binding things up. Way back there. Should be right about there is where it goes. Then we have our nice brand new windshield, I guess you can call it, for this thing. Piece of plastic glass. Let's see if I can get it out of here. Is this one of those things that everybody on YouTube says is satisfying? Where you're peeling plastic? I don't get it, but okay, I guess some people find that satisfying. It is very nice and clear. So which side was up? You know, I really don't know. But the old one's got the little thing on it. Go grab that. Alright, I've got it in there in the right orientation. 48404. Can't imagine they would put it on there upside down. But this doesn't go on there quite yet, as I just realized. This part needs to go on first. Now, oh dear. Those need to stay stuck. Okay, I gotta tape those in place. I'll be right back. Okay, got them in there with some electrical tape. I just need these little foamies here to stay stuck just long enough for me to tilt it into place. Now what those are four of the turn signals. Because you don't want the turn signals lighting up the rest of your instrument panel. They got these little tubes here that you put in here. A lot of sirens today. Okay. All right, now I got my little baggie of screws here. I'm gonna get a few of them out. Actually, all of them. They're all pretty much exactly the same, so I don't have to worry about grabbing something specific. And my Phillips screwdriver drew some legs and walked away. I better go grab that. Got her screwdriver. Now, hoping I got this set pretty much. Because what I need to do is I need to put the faceplate in, then the plastic lens, glass, windshield, whatever you want to call it, and then I have to put in the big piece of trim, and then carefully screw the trim to this part first. So let's see if we can pull it off. So make sure our little foamies are stuck there good enough. They compress against those cardboard tubes, so as long as they stay there long enough for me to get this in. We'll be fine. Okay. We're there. Then this part. Just like that. So no sudden moves here. Trying to identify which screws I'm gonna, probably the two on the bottom. See if I got it lined up. I don't think I do. This needs to be up a little bit higher for me to pull this off. Maybe if I pull it out here. I don't know. I know what I'm going to do though, I think, because I can see clearly where to put these two top screws in. They're lined up, and then I can try to sandwich things together, I guess. got it pinched together good enough where I think this screw will pinch this other side in. Nope, 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 nope. One of the reasons it's trouble is because of that speedometer cable. And I don't want to take it out of the transmission again because I already put it back. I better make sure my foamies are still in the right spot. Oh, bugger. They are. Okay. So the screw I'm trying to get in is that one right there. So let's try this again. There, it's lined up. There we go. I'd be done right now if I had two left hands, you know? Now we just got to get these top ones in. See, look at that. That actually turns out to be the perfect green. There's little tab thingies I got to act as light filters. Later on, when it's dark, we're going to find out how well they work. Oh, thank goodness that screw started right off the bat. So it looks like there's, what, 8 screws that hold the instrument panel to this bezel. And they look like they're all lining up too. See how we're looking. Oh yeah, we're good. All right. It's amazing what a clear piece of plexiglass does. You can see all the gauges. The sirens are still going and somebody's poor dog is outside howling. Alright, now just to get the bezel. Oh wait, I forgot one. Here's one right there. There we go. let's get it attached to the dash. Will that miss something? Oh, it's not in the right spot, I guess. Let's slide her over. Alright, let me get the rest of these screws in, and I'll bring you guys back when it's time to test the instrument panel lights out. Alright, so here's the dome light. And it's got a ground issue. The light bulb works. I've tested it on the battery, and I can't get it to ground to the cab or the frame of the body at all, and it won't work. So I've tried everything. I've tried cleaning up the paint off of these things, the screws, and tried to get it just won't work. So I am going to solder a wire to the back of this housing. I'm going to run it through the cab and down this corner and out right there and over to a known ground that I know works. And this is the one for the fuel sending unit for the fuel gauge. So I think that should do the trick, and I won't have to fuss with it anymore. Yeah, it's a bit of a hack, but it should work just fine. So let's get things going and get that thing soldered up with a piece of wire and run it through. Alright, I got the dome light fixture here. We're going to go ahead and take this apart. There's a spring in there too, somewhere. Okay. And I am going to solder it directly to the housing, just to make sure I absolutely, definitely have a good ground. But I got to clean it up first. That should do it. I got half of an old extension cord that had a bad end on it. We'll use that as our ground wire. And we're going to solder it right there. So, first we need to flux everything. And I'm also going to tin this wire. That way I'm not trying to hold three things at the same time. See if I can get it hot enough to stick. Needs a little bit more solder on there, but it's sticking. Yeah, because that thing's hot. All right, let it cool off and then we'll go install it. All right, it's nice and dark out. You probably can't see me, but we're gonna test these lights out. Now, I got the dome light up here that you probably still can't see. I got it in, hooked up the ground, and all it does is flicker when I turn it on. So my guess is that my headlight switch that has the dimmer function, all that stuff in there, is going bad. But here, I'll show you the flicker. This is what it's doing. Well, it did it once, twice. That's it. So I think the contacts inside my headlight switch are pretty dirty. So, because I tested the wire going up there a few days ago. Matter of fact, I tested it again today. It's getting 12 volts up there to the light. It's just not consistent. So anyway, we're gonna go ahead and down here on the dash, and we're gonna turn the lights on and see how the dash looks. Look at that. That is beautiful. And even the climate controls and the radio. The only thing that I need to take a light out is the cigarette lighter, because that's just going to be a plug for my phone charger. So I need to take that bulb out so I don't have any extra heat down there around that plastic. But it's working. Let's try turn signals. Okay, why is it not blinking? Not sure why it's not blinking. It was just the other day. But then again, I already know that my turn signal switch is really in bad shape. And that's another video, a very detailed video, where I get all the wiring fixed for the steering column. Let's try the high beam. Headlights seem to be on. There you go. See that red light right there? That's telling me the high beams are on. High beams off. High beams on. High beams off. High beams on. So I can see everything. Got some weird glares here, but all my gauges are lit up. That's a pretty good deal right there. Just got to get that little bulb out of that useless cigarette lighter. Well, not useless. It's now a phone charger. Sweet. All right, that pretty much wraps it up for this video. So stick around. Steering column wiring for the turn signal switches and the horn is next. That'll be a very detailed video because I gotta fix that rat's nest of wiring underneath the dash that connects all that stuff together. But I got the right tools and the right parts to just make it a snap together connector. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Laters.